Every story needs a writer. Sure, we can memorize certain things, but in order to memorize them, they need to be written down. The creative writing industry is responsible for coming up with the stories that are told in every media, whether it be movies, games, or graphic novels. Stories are our way of communicating effectively, even if it's something that would normally be considered very boring. I assume that's why they came up with word problems in math class. Motion picture production is where the culmination of all the hard work of every phase of production for a story takes place. People in this industry create what gets seen by the general public. This is probably the most famous of the three industries we focus on. Those in this industry are filmmakers and are involved throughout the project. Those in media communication are responsible for the majority of what reaches the public eye. Social media is a huge factor in media communication. With so much information being available to consumers at their fingertips, it takes a lot of work to get a finished product to a target demographic. There are very creative ways to market your idea to consumers nowadays, and it's up to media communication students to come up with those and get them implemented. Creative writing is the backbone of the visual arts industry. Without it, motion picture production and media communication might as well not even exist. The talent and imagination of the individuals in the writing field are imperative to a successful story. Motion picture production is where the rubber meets the road. They take what the creative writing industry has done and mold it into a nice packaged product that can then be sold to audiences everywhere. That's where the media communication industry comes in. If nobody knows about your product, then how can you sell it? This industry is responsible for reaching as many of the desired audiences as possible by means other than simply putting your project on the silver screen. These three industries are necessary to each other's survival. Co-producers are an important part of the development process of a production. Once a project that they like has been brought to their attention, the co-producer will assist in shaping it to fit the industry it's being made for. They lobby for financial backing for a project, or in some cases, come up with the money themselves. Then a shooting schedule and budget is created that the co-producer tries to stay under and get the most out of what they are given. After that, they hire people under them, such as the associate producer, to help with smaller tasks. The associate producer is a big help to the producers during the pre-production phase. The more that they do, the less the producers have to do, which makes everything run more smoothly. They assist with the screenplay and locking down locations for filming. An associate producer is needed to help organize everything before actual filming begins. If a lead producer cannot be somewhere, the AP should take his place. A director of photography plays a key role in the production phase of a project. They work hand in hand with, but still under, the director of a film to create the same style throughout the project. They are responsible for communicating with the lighting crew and the actors to get the look they are going for in every scene. Essentially, they are responsible for what ends up in every shot. As technology advances and new trends start each year, a good DP will do the research and have the knowledge to work with anything a director may ask him to. Post-production is where everything that happened during the production phase is gathered together and molded into a single flowing project that's easy to understand. An editor is responsible for making the director's vision a reality. Even though a film may have been shot out of sequence, the editor can make everything seem like it takes place in the exact moment it is shown on screen. The editor is the one that produces the final cut of a project before it is sent to be marketed to the consumers. Please take a moment to watch this video about how important editing is to the filmmaking process. The final stage of a project is marketing distribution. A social media manager is going to take your product and reach as many consumers as possible in as shortest time as possible. It's their job to create promotions and act as your project's presence on social media. According to social media marketing resources, social media has now overtaken porn as the number one activity on the web. Never before has a project been able to be marketed as quickly and as easily as it does in today's instant access world. The social media manager will make sure your product reaches the consumer as efficiently as possible. The MacGuffin is an important tool in storytelling. A lot of times, it is what drives the characters in the film to do what they do. It is usually an object, but can even be a character in the story itself. A MacGuffin is not necessary to tell a story, but it can add significance to what is being told. The concept of Chekhov's gun is one that I enjoy most in storytelling. It is an object or character that is seemingly unimportant to the story, but emphasized in subtle ways and comes back later on in the story with great significance and sometimes even dire consequences. Chekhov believed that if something wasn't important to the story, that it shouldn't be included at all. Some are easily noticeable, while others are so subtle that you don't catch them until a second time through. Establishing shots are important in separating scenes and making sure the viewer doesn't get confused as to when and where your scene is taking place. They can even be used to reveal new information to the viewer. Typically, the scene is shot from a distance at a wide angle with the camera either panning left or right or tilting the camera up or down. Good establishing shots can sometimes be a deciding factor on whether or not a film is successful. The fourth wall is a term that originated from a time before movies and television, when the main form of telling a story was on stage at a theater. The fourth wall is the imaginative barrier between the audience and the participants on stage or in the film. It keeps the characters in the story from interacting with the audience. Breaking the fourth wall is a popular thing to do by one of the characters as a nod to acknowledge the audience's existence. Promotional tie-ins have been a mainstay in the entertainment industry for decades. With the advances in technology and the growing number of disposable income, the variety of promotional tie-ins has gotten wider and wider. Projects can package and sell anything from coffee mugs to t-shirts with the product's logo on them. It's a fun way to connect with others who love the same films and shows that you do. Clout is a social media based program that measures your influence based on the contents of your social media pages. The more followers/friends you have, and the more posts you make, the higher your score is. Having a high score means it's more likely that whatever you're promoting is going to reach more people. The best part is you have all the control over how high or how low your clout score is. The more you try to be involved in social media, the more your score will improve. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was born into a wrestling family. This was before wrestlers were paid the millions of dollars they're paid today. Growing up, he traveled with his family as his father wrestled in one new town after another. He played college football for Miami with hopes of going pro, but that never happened. He ended up losing his spot in football, and at 23 had $7 to his name. From that point forward, he only went up. He got into wrestling, and after becoming successful doing that, debuted his acting career in The Mummy Returns as the Scorpion King. Now he owns a production company aptly named $7 Entertainment. He has turned his life around, and his life is the American dream. The Motion Picture Association of America is dedicated to making the lives of filmmakers easier. They support copyright laws to make sure everyone feels safe creating original work. They fight to keep trade routes open to share films with foreign markets. Movies create jobs in the states they are filmed, and MPAA keeps track of that. They also fight with the government to preserve our rights to freedom of speech as filmmakers. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences is responsible for the preservation and exhibition of motion pictures. Members nominate others to join the Academy. Those in the Academy must retain active status by remaining employed in the workforce. You have to have worked at least once in the last 10 years to be considered active. Only those with active status in the Academy are allowed to vote on members that are nominated to win an Oscar.